Hello, my name is Chris Impey. I'm a professor of astronomy at the University of Arizona. In this presentation, I'm going to talk about astronomy education and outreach online, in particular before and after the pandemic, because it seems like a lot more outreach and education are going to happen online in the future, even after the pandemic. In particular, I'm going to talk about the mode of reaching astronomy-interested members of the public through massive open online classes, or MOOCs. I've been offering MOOCs for about 6 years, for most of the time that MOOCs have been around, and we've had over 300,000 people in 3 different MOOCs on astronomy and astrobiology offered by Coursera and Udemy. And these large numbers belie the fact that the completion rates of such courses are low. But you have to remember that these are self-motivated adult learners, lifelong learners. They're not doing it for grades or for college credit. They're doing it out of personal interest. And they're busy people with lives and families and jobs, maybe multiple jobs. And so it's not a given that they're going to be able to complete a full course, but they can still get something valuable out of it. And the question is, can you use good pedagogy in an online class like a MOOC to encourage more engagement with astronomy and to actually get most people, or the majority, to finish the course? First of all, remember that online students are really just lifelong learners. Most of the people who take my MOOCs already have a degree, bachelor's degree, and about a third have an advanced degree, a master's or a PhD. So these are well-educated people in other subjects. They are busy people with careers and jobs in other areas, not usually science, in fact, often professional people in various fields. So we're trying to use the pedagogy of a MOOC to also improve our university education. We've measured the motivation of learners in the MOOCs, and their identities, needs, and motivations vary. They're often explorers, just interested in astronomy for its own sake. They are facilitators. They want to help learn and learn for other people too. They're probably spreading their knowledge around their communities and with their children and their families. And sometimes they're hobbyists, or what we would call amateur astronomers. You can reach a lot of people through MOOCs. These 300,000 plus people are in 185 different countries around the world. The United States is only a third of the enrollment, and they're scattered widely across the world, as you can see with the demographically weighted bubbles on this map. English is the natural language and the first language of most MOOC learners, but a MOOC provider like Coursera will provide closed captioning and subtitles and even translations to other languages, so you can reach a truly international audience. The surge during the pandemic was notable. Here you see the numbers for some of the major MOOC providers in 2019 and 2020, and you can see a dramatic growth of factors of 2 or 3 of all the major MOOC providers during the pandemic. People had more time on their hands, they were locked down, they're forced to be at home, and they acquainted themselves, many for the first time, with online ways of learning. And astronomy is a natural interest and a passion for many people, and so many of them gravitated towards astronomy. In fact, as you can see here from my enrollment curve, the MOOCs in astronomy did better than the average MOOC providers. We had a surge of almost an order of magnitude in the enrollments monthly during the pandemic year. Now that faded as 2020 hit and 2021 started, but still the enrollments are above where they were in 2018 and 2019. And this is likely to continue. We also noticed from our motivation survey that the motivations of some of these learners had changed from being pure hobbyists and pure altruistic knowledge for its own sake to being more professionally motivated. One remarkable feature of looking at the demographics and where the surge happened is that it was not uniformly distributed around the world. These graphs show the ratio of enrollment during the pandemic to before the pandemic, averaged over a couple of years, where the average surge was, as I said, a factor of just under 10. And what you can see here is the correlation of that surge with different countries relating to their GDP, or their wealth, and also their level of internet connectivity. And I think it's surprising that the correlation goes perhaps in the opposite way you would think, that it was the people living in poorer countries with worse internet connectivity who showed the largest surge in enrollment in these astronomy MOOCs. And you might wonder, what use would astronomy be to someone in a developing country? Well, they're as curious as anyone, and they just flocked online. So this is a striking way of reaching developing countries and people in those worlds, going online to learn about science. You see a persistence curve here, where people who enroll in a MOOC do not persist to the end, so the completion rates are typically low. And it's in fact the videos that are the most popular part of the content. That's the core material in any MOOC. And then when you ask them to do writing assignments or citizen science perhaps, their participation drops. Notably, however, the people who do those type of assignments persist to the end. They get more engaged in a deeper way with astronomy, and they persist to the end of the course. The demographics of completion do vary according to the people. Some students are shown here, the retired people, and different types of professionals. In the bar chart, you can see how the completion varies for these different types. Again, many well-educated people already with degrees. The age demographic tends to skew older, substantial retired people, and then a flat demographic and maybe a smaller number of undergraduate or student age people. The video lecture does correlate with completion, but with a wide scatter. So watching video lectures does not guarantee they will get a high class grade, and it doesn't guarantee that they'll finish the class. But in the aggregate, millions of minutes of astronomy video have been watched by these participants, and I consider that a pretty impressive form of outreach in the aggregate. When you want students to complete, it does pay to engage them at a deeper level. So we use citizen science, we use peer writing activities, and other things beyond just quizzes to engage the learner. The people who participate in discussion boards also complete the MOOC at a much higher level than the people who don't participate in the discussion boards. So I always recommend having live sessions and actively monitoring discussion boards, seeding the discussion and participating in the discussions. It just helps people get more out of the subject. We also support our MOOC with a website, which has primarily an online textbook. And the material in the MOOC is cross-referenced to articles in the textbook. This is a free and open textbook at the teachastronomy.com website, available to anyone, not just people on the MOOC. And there are also 15,000 different annotated images of astronomy. So it's a pretty good encyclopedic resource as an adjunct to the MOOC itself. There are 1,500 video clips on short topics, essentially like a talking glossary. And there's clustered content, so you can find related topics easily by surfing around a map that you can see in the middle of this diagram. So we support our MOOC in different ways, and this helps people get more out of the material. Sometimes they want to dig deeper than the video lecture goes on Mars, say, or on cosmology, or on exoplanets. And so you need to give people the opportunity to go deeper, apart from just surfing the web on their own. And we've also reached a lot of people with this website in the time we've been running the MOOC. There's a textbook, like I said, and that's the most popular use because it enriches the material. They can pause the video at a point where they're not sure and read an article on that topic and then go back and continue the video. A lot of people use the course that way. We also build the quizzes inline, so the quizzes come through the video clips. They can pause, take a question from a quiz, and then continue to show that they've learned from what they've just seen. And finally, I'll talk about an experimental tool that we're developing to go with this course and as a general resource for people doing outreach in astronomy. We've taken the 200 plus hours of live Q&A sessions that we've had over the past 5 years, and we've chopped them up into individual questions and answers and created transcripts for them. And then we've created a machine learning AI method which someone can use to talk to a smart speaker from Alexa or Google and ask a question if they've installed the astronomy skill to that speaker, and the speaker will search through our database, do a natural language AI machine learning type match to the best answer in all the years of answers I've given on similar questions, and then my voice will come back at them answering that question. So that's our sort of state of the art, if you like, our technology frontier in supporting the MOOCs. But I think MOOCs are here to stay. Online learning and online outreach in astronomy is here to stay. And so I encourage other people to get their feet wet into a MOOC and to figure out how you can reach large numbers of astronomy interested people, including amateur astronomers, around the world. Thank you.